Shabbat Shalom, and of course, Shana Tova. Have you ever been in the right place in the right moment to make a difference? A moment that you thought it was bashert that you were there? Well, I've had a number of those in my life. One in particular I remember took place exactly 10 years ago. My wife and I, Rodi, were visiting our son who was living in Japan at the time. He was teaching English for a couple of years before he was going to go out into the workforce. So we went to visit him and we were traveling around Japan, and it happened that on the Shabbat we were traveling, we were in the city of Nikko. Now, I don't know if I would call it actually a city. It's really about the size of Woodland Hills, maybe. But it's a popular tourist attraction. And we're there on Shabbat, but of course, there's no synagogue. So I did my prayers in the morning, walked around the city for the rest of the day with Rodi, tried to feel that sense of Shabbat, but really didn't feel it. The next morning, Sunday morning, we got up, looked for a place for breakfast. Nothing was open. So we went into a gift shop, a very large gift shop. And behind the counter was a very unusual sight. There was a Western woman. We walked up to the counter, and we began to talk with her and clearly heard her American accent, well, if there is such a thing. We began to talk about where she was from, and we asked, "Where are you from?" She said, "California." She said, "No way, where?" She said, "Los Angeles." I said, "Really, where?" She goes, "The West San Fernando Valley." "Where?" "Woodland Hills." It was remarkable. We found out that she'd actually gone to Taft High School, where I graduated just a couple years before me. We began to talk about life in the town of Nikko. She was the only Western woman. She had married a Japanese man when she had been there for a year of study. And then she pulled out a computer, a laptop, and was trying to log on. She says, "I'm so sorry, I have to just take a moment out. My nephew's having a bar mitzvah back in Los Angeles." In fact, the time difference meant that it was Saturday afternoon in Los Angeles. And she was trying to log on. There was frustration. She would try a number of times. I began to tell her that I was actually a rabbi in Woodland Hills. She knew the synagogue well. In fact, she'd grown up at a nearby Reformed synagogue. We began talking how much she missed her family and what it meant to miss these Jewish moments. And after a time, and she was unable to log on to the bar mitzvah, she said, "I just want you to know how important your visit was. It made me feel connected at a time of disconnectedness, a real Jewish connection. So thank you so much." Well, the next Shabbat I was back in synagogue, and one of our congregants walked up to me and said, "I hear you were in Nikko last week." I said, "What? How would you know?" She says, "Well, the mother of the woman you spoke to is a dear old friend of mine. And she called me to tell her that her daughter had called her, to tell her how important my visit had been, that she felt connected." Wow. To make a difference in that moment, to be at the right place at the right time. The truth of the matter is, we're in the right place at the right time to make a difference more than we know. Every moment has that opportunity. On Rosh Hashanah, we begin to think about our interactions with people, the ways that we can have an impact in their lives, the way that we can make a difference in the world. But you have to look for those moments. They don't always happen just by themselves like it did to me in Nikko, Japan. On this Rosh Hashanah, I wish you a year of sweetness, apples and honey, a year of health and goodness, and most of all, a year of making a difference. Shana Tova.